Good morning, everybody. This is Jeff Phillips out of Pensacola, Florida. Meet the Firms Week, day 4. It's Thursday of Meet the Firms Week. We're going to talk about technology and how the changing winds of technology will absolutely change the trajectory of your career if you pay attention to it. And if you don't, it's your loss, to put it simply. So, hey, we're glad you're here. And if you're watching this on video, thank you for watching this on video, whether you found us on YouTube or on social media or through Xero. Meet the Firms Week is the largest career conference for accounting students and recent grads. And we're glad that you guys are back for more. I think it's the best content that you'll find throughout your, college experience about your career. And we're glad that you're here. And we thank all of our presenters throughout the week. It's been an awesome week. And today is going to be a paradigm shifting conversation for you. I can promise you that. What can you do the rest of this week? So attend today and tomorrow live, obviously. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Jason Blummer, who quit his job and started a small firm and built a life that he loves. It's entrepreneurship in accounting, and you are not going to want to miss Jason's story. But you have to understand cloud accounting to even be able to think about what Jason's doing. Jason has an all-remote workforce. His clients are even remote. He handles clients and his team from home. His team works from home, from their homes, and they use cloud accounting software to manage the entire process. You're going to understand what that means today if you don't already. Please support our sponsors. After the event, you're going to get access to train on Xero, and you're going to get access to Gleim. We're going to put that link through the chat window right now. So Gleim CPA Review is going to be offering you guys four free complete CPA exam topics. Just visit this page that we put through the chat window to get started. If you're watching this on video, go to Gleim, GLEIM.com/AF demo. That's for Accountingfly demo. Gleim's got 40 years in the business, millions of CPAs trained. Their CPA mega test bank is the largest on the market. Please check this out. We would not be having the session if it wasn't for Gleim and Xero, our co-partners in this event. But most importantly, today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, that's 1 p.m. Eastern Time, is going to be our free virtual school fair. You got to get a master's degree or at least be looking into extending your education. You'll earn more. You'll expand your horizons. You'll get to the CPA exam faster. It opens the door to career opportunities and career success. So from 1 to 3 today, check out the virtual career fair. Chat with admissions counselors at bricks and mortar schools as well as online schools to understand your options, why you should get that master's or an MBA, MAC, Master of Finance. And you can come in and drop in anytime between 1 and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Please stop by. You can even stop by in 20 or 30 minutes, chat with a few of the schools. There's top 50 programs are going to be there, as well as super affordable and flexible online programs. If you can't make the school fair, do check out our Master's Finder. That's going to be also given to you through the chat window here. Just click Connect with Schools and select the ones you want to meet. All right, so hopefully you're getting that through the chat window. Listen, during the presentation today, we're going to have 3 polling questions. Those are going to pop up in your window. We ask you to submit an answer. This helps us understand where you're at in your career journey. They are all new questions, so these won't be redundant from questions you had in the past. So I have to tell you, you're in for a treat today. Being aware of leading-edge software products like Xero early in your career will definitely increase your options. It will increase your earning potential. You want to learn how people are building companies with completely remote accounting teams serving clients all over the world. You're going to learn why that is possible today. Learning products like Xero will turn you into a trusted advisor. And it's so exciting what this company has done. And you may not have heard of Xero yet, but I promise you will not forget who they are after this presentation. Our presenter this morning is the remarkable Amy Vetter, CPA. She's seen how transformative technology can be in accounting firsthand. She's been a partner to she's been a CPA at a large accounting firm, a partner in a small accounting firm. She's a business owner, and she is the head of educating all partners on the Xero product for this company. So today's sessions will challenge your assumptions about your own career and leave you with new perspective on how to seize the trends going on around you. Let me tell you about Amy in particular. Amy Vetter is Global Vice President, Education and Head of Accounting USA at Xero. She's a CPA, a CITP, and CGMA. She's accountable for developing and educating the executing. Amy, I'm struggling this morning. The education strategy for Xero worldwide. Her role includes innovating new ways to educate Xero customers, as well as creating a global consistency for the creation and management of training programs for Xero's accounting partners, people like you. Prior to Xero, she was the CPA programs leader for Intact Corporation and performed many roles in the accountant professional division with Intuit. She has experience running client accounting service practices, whether it be her own company, which I hope you're going to tell us about, Amy, or as a partner in a CPA firm. Amy is a prolific speaker. She is a prolific writer. Google her. She is a thought leader. She is one of the most influential people in the entire accounting profession. You'll find out why in just a moment. Put your thinking caps on. We'll be back. I'll be back for Q&A, ask questions, and 3 polling questions here in the middle of the presentation. Amy, Xero was named recently by Forbes magazine as the most innovative software company in the world. Do I have that right?
Yes, correct.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you are in the senior leadership team of Xero. Good morning. I know you're in Los Angeles. It's early there. We appreciate you being up with us. And I'm gonna let you roll while I back away, and I'll be back for the polling questions. Okay.
Great.
Thanks, Amy.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be here with all of you to talk about this topic. Today's session is really to get you thinking about what you can actually do now as starting to get experience in cloud accounting and where the future may take us, so that you can, come up with your own personal plan for what you want to do with your accounting career, and think about the trends that are going to happen in the future and how you might want to design the type of accountant or accounting practice that you may want to have yourself. So you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. If you want more information after today's session, it's at Amy Vetter CPA if you're looking for me there. So the industry has gone through a huge amount of change in the last, especially the last 5 years. Cloud technology has been around for, probably a little over 10 years, but it's taken a while for the change to actually occur. And what's actually driving the change in this industry is, first of all, the technology companies are no longer spending time developing for desktop software. They understand the future of technology is cloud, mobile, people wanting to work when and where they want to work. So that's changing our profession. Secondly, the role of accountants is changing. So, there's always early adopters when it comes to technology, and there are many accountants that were early adopters for cloud technology. And what changed was the kind of role that they played with their clients, rather than being compliance-based where it's just tax or audit. They started moving into what Jeff spoke about, this trusted advisor role, where they have more of an ongoing relationship with the client throughout the month, and they're there to answer questions. And the reason they can do that is the technology is able to create a more efficient process for us in the background, so that the answers can come. We're sharing the same general ledger as the client because it's in the cloud. We're not having to pass files back and forth. And we can really be that value-added advisor where the small business has someone to go to ask the questions that they just don't understand about their accounting. Thirdly, it's easier for small businesses to leave their accountant because of the technology. So in the past, small businesses have been so blind to their numbers and to what the accountant used for their accounting system, where even if they were unhappy, it was very hard for them to leave. But now it isn't as hard, where the clients are taking more control because they need that information in order to run their business. So they're demanding a different level of service from their accountant. So if they're not getting that and their friend tells them that they're getting, a different type of service from the accountant that they have, they're going to leave their accountant because they need to have that person that they can partner with in their business. Also, outsourcing became a more popular service. So for small businesses, they don't have a big corporate budget where they can actually, hire a controller or CFO. They have, very limited resources where a lot of times they're doing their own accounting. So it doesn't really turn out very well because they don't have an accounting background. So accountants have been able, with the advent of cloud technology, to be able to outsource certain services. So where a client can pay an accountant to do bookkeeping services once a week or a couple hours a week, or instead of hiring a full-time controller, they can hire a controller maybe one day a week or twice a month, depending on their budget. So that was really how I built my practice. I had originally started out as an auditor in public accounting, and when I decided to open my own practice, this was the type of practice that I opened, which wasn't as prevalent as it is now. But it was such a needed service from people that, you think about the small businesses that start their business. Typically, they're starting and they've left big corporate jobs, so they're used to having the resources that they need, but then they find themselves really lost when they start their small business because they don't know everything. So having those outsourced services are hugely valuable to clients. And then lastly is the value price billing that you probably hear a lot about in the industry. But what that's about is really, once I've changed all the back-end processes, which we're going to talk about, and speed up the work that typically took me maybe weeks to get done through manual calculations and so forth, the cloud technology is actually speeding up that work. However, it doesn't change the value of the answer that you're about to give to your client. And that's been a misnomer for, much of our time as accountants, where we valued our time based on the number of hours we spent on the work, where the client doesn't see it that way. They're really looking at how fast can you get me an answer. The answer is the value. So it's been a real paradigm shift for our industry to move to this value price billing, where it's actually the value of the work we're doing, not the time we're spending on the work. So as the technology speeds up the work, we should actually have a more profitable practice because the back-end processes are more efficient. We can get to the answer faster and have time to have that value-added conversation that our clients so badly want. So, in the beginning, what's really driven this change is, the accountants had the data locked in their desktop. So there was no cloud technology. They were doing it in Excel or other desktop accounting software. And so when the client got their information, it was maybe, could be 3 months after the year was over, or, I'm at a small business conference speaking right now, and some of these small business owners are telling me that they don't get, they get their information quarterly. But what that means is that's, 1 month after the quarter is over. So, it's very hard for them to make any real-time decisions. So the change is once you move into the cloud, you're actually sharing the same data with your clients. And so what that does is give everyone real-time access to the data so that they can access the information that they need when they need it, whether it's from mobile, the web interface. And then you can also get on and make sure numbers are being recorded properly and so forth. What used to happen in the desktop world was the client would have their own instance of the software that was separated from the accountant. And so the client would make all tons of errors, and then when the accountant got their file to fix, it was just a bunch of garbage. So, you know, this changes everything, that we can real time keep the books clean so that the client has real data to go off of to make decisions. But where it actually moves is to be proactive. So, you know, for things like reconciling a bank account, you know, I can now do it right on my mobile phone. Or if I want to be proactive with my client and actually let them know today they need to take some action, I can send it right to their watch, which changes the entire relationship that's been there, you know, in the past with accountants and clients, where we were more reactive versus proactive. This changes the conversation, and we're able to get them information the way they want it, wherever they are. So, you know, at Xero, we really are working to change the game of being able to give real value-added answers to our clients. So taking all the data that's back there from all the different clients and being able to geocode it or industry code it, where we can actually compare client data, you know, in the future to client data of other people in that industry so that they can see how well they're doing. This is really unlocking those insights for business owners. And, you know, when you see a screen like this, this is a screen in Xero that has business performance dashboards for the client. Gives them an idea in a picture sense how different ratios are doing. But what this does on the client side is there's an actual button on these dashboards that says, ask my accountant. So if they don't understand what they're seeing, it will send a notification to the accountant so that you can then have that conversation with them to explain what's affecting those numbers, how they can change it to be a more positive result, and so forth. So this is really where clients want accountants to be so that they can truly give them the advice that they need to run their business the way they need to. So like I said, now that the ledger is shared in the cloud, you now can go beyond the accounting. So where a lot of times we were stuck in the manual calculations, the clients were asking for our time and we had no time because we couldn't keep up with all the work. But now that we share this cloud platform, they're able to pay us for our expertise, for the knowledge that they don't have, so that we can analyze the information that's coming out of the system. And at Xero, we call this a connected advisor. So we know that many accountants and accounting firms have traditional practices, and when they come to us, they usually have, you know, don't really know how to change what they're doing today to be this connected advisor of the future. So we set up, you know, processes and so forth to help advisors along the way in order to get to this connected advisor. So what that means is that you're really in the center of all the things happening that connect into the general ledger. So the bank feeds, all the transactions that are going through the bank, any kind of government compliance, insurance, legal that you need to connect with in order to paying suppliers, having customer payments come in and making sure you can collect faster for your clients. And then we have apps, which for our ecosystem, this is what creates even more efficiency outside of Xero to create that platform. I'm not sure if you lost my slide there.
Yeah, it just I got your desk.
Out. Okay.
Let's back up.
Oh, there we go. That was weird.
Oh, Never fear.
So, yeah, there we go. Back. So the ideal state is that you're able to connect to all of these outside people and processes and so forth to really create those efficiencies for your client. And at Xero, we have 500 plus ecosystem apps that are out there that connect with Xero so that you don't have to duplicate entries. For instance, if they're using a POS software and integrating data back into Xero, you don't have to type information from the POS software into Xero. It's all hooked together. Or ways to automate the payment process where payments can be scanned or receipts can be scanned in, or people can take pictures of receipts and it codes it in these apps, and that information then funnels right back into Xero, which is a huge time saver. Things that are not value added to the client or yourself, truly, where you can get to that answer even quicker. So I think we're going to stop here for a polling question.
Yeah, Amy, and it's we're going to fire up a polling question, but what is so exciting about this is how this changes what an accountant does for businesses. So when you can plug in all of those apps and it's connected through Xero, and I know you're going to talk about this, but the accountant truly can evolve to a trusted advisor who is analyzing information for the small business rather than inputting information for the business. It's I know you're heading in that direction, but it's so exciting to see. And I'm just curious for the audience. I'm going to ask a poll question for those of you who are in college now, or if you're out. Did the topic of cloud accounting ever come up in your classes? Did your programs, did your professors teach you about cloud accounting software? Did you ever even heard of it? And your answer options are they touched on it, but nothing substantial. We had a class dedicated to it. Number 3 is shocking. We learned about desktop software, but not cloud. And the 4th option is nope, nothing about accounting software. And just pick one and hit submit. And so, Amy, I can tell you, while we have about half the audience voting, it's actually better than it was this time last year, which is interesting. So, while 35% are saying nothing about cloud, all about desktop, 25% say they touched on it, but nothing substantial. That's actually an improvement. That's actually a significant improvement over last year. Amy, 10% are saying they had a class dedicated to it. That's fantastic.
Wow.
And then 27% are saying, nope, nothing about accounting software. And, for those of you who are in the 4th category, this is why this session is so important, because you will see how by embracing the software products that are out there, it can totally change the game for you as a service provider. So anyway, we've got about 10% who had a class, 25% who said they touched on it, 40% said desktop, 26% said nothing. Thanks for voting. I'll be back in a little while to have another poll. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll out, Amy. And Amy, you may need to hit back to presentation mode when it comes back to. Yeah, there you go. You're back in presentation mode, so you can probably advance your slides. Thanks.
Okay, great. Yeah, really interesting information from your polling questions, and truly, desktop software will be going away in the future. So it's really important that you do train yourself up on the things that are important for the future trends for accountants. And that's really what this is about today. This is kind of the start of that journey. And, what I'd say about, all of that as well is, just like anything that you're learning and becoming an expert in, you really get an overview of what that industry is like when you're going through school. But, when you get out, it's your time to really specialize in the things that you're most passionate about and really make your career the way that you want to make it. And so this is what this next section is about. So although you saw 500 applications that could integrate with Xero, you are not going to have to learn 500 applications. This is really your time to decide, what is most important to you and how can you get started. So first of all, you want to think about what opportunities there are for you as an accountant. So, I know when I was in school, and I look back now, which, I probably would have started out on a complete different path. I was really only told about tax and audit. And audit was a great background for me starting out, and it actually transferred really well into advisory skills because you learn the questioning techniques and so forth, in audit, which you end up needing as a consultant later. But no one really talks about that there's other things in accounting you can do, like, the corporate side, the industry side, having your own practice, being an advisor or a consultant. And truly, when I started my practice, I started my career at KPMG in audit, and then I worked in internal audit at Ryder in Miami. And so I'd always worked with really big software systems and, was auditing things from a high level and statistically and so forth. And when I ended up opening my business, and I was actually pretty young opening a business, I believe I was 27, so you can be a consultant at any age because you start learning very quickly, the questioning techniques and how to help, clients. And, what I learned was my first bookkeeping client here, I was a CPA and worked with, Fortune 500 companies. And I get my first bookkeeping client that was a salon, and I had to catch up their bank recs. And I had realized I never had done a bank rec. I had always audited a bank rec. And doing a bank rec yourself really teaches you how to consult because you get into the situations that your client would be getting into. And so when you go to help people later, if you've never had the experience of actually doing the things that they do in the accounting software, it's very hard to give them advice later. So I would just highly suggest that you take the time, and we're going to talk about this later on, of how you can start learning these things on your own and get started so that you can feel more comfortable consulting and giving advice to clients. So, do your research. Find the places where there's a need or people are working with clients. So small business associations are a great way to get to know, wow, that happened again. I don't know why this keeps happening, so I apologize.
Hey, that's fine. So it's just so weird. So it's You're advancing. It's you're losing your presentation.
It's just it's like flipping out. You see it again?
I see your calendar right now. I lost your presentation. I think your calendar alert.
Is it back up?
I'm a delay, so wait 1 second. I do not. Hold on. No, not back up. I think what happened was your calendar had an alert for like a meeting, and then it somehow took down your presentation. Is your presentation live on your desktop? There it is. I see it now, Amy. It's live.
Okay.
So right through it.
So I apologize for that. But so what you want to do is look at the things that you are most passionate about when you are deciding what you want to do as an accountant. So whether you're going into a CPA firm or whether you're starting your own practice, you want to think about the things that make you most excited so that if you were to work with clients in a certain industry, it wouldn't feel like work. So for me, as Jeff said, I'm a CPA and I work for Xero. But what you may not know is that on the side, I have a yoga business. So I'm a yoga instructor, and I'm very passionate about the health and wellness industry. So for me, my why would be to help health and wellness businesses thrive, that there's more of them that are able to find profitability and a better business model because what they do is so important to all the customers that come in their door every day and find peace in their lives and ways to live a better life. So if I'm a CPA working with health and wellness clients, that would really give back to my why as being a person. So I think it's important to start there and figure out what motivates you. So the thing is that you want to then specialize in an industry. So when you decide on the industries that are important to you, then your next step is to really figure out what are the pain points of that industry. So let's say that you've grown up in the legal industry and, maybe your parents were an attorney, or, you had friends and family that were attorneys. So when I'm trying to figure out what applications I want to integrate with Xero, I need to think about what are the pain points of a lawyer. So, most lawyers have similar workflows. They require real-time access to trust accounts. They're on time and billing, so that's really important. So when I look at software to customize my solution, my platform with Xero, I need to be talking to software companies that integrate with Xero that fulfill those pain points. So when I go to talk to them, I need to be really clear on the things that I'm looking for. Web designers are a great example too, that when I have, we had a workshop where we had small business clients come in and talk about what they get from their accountant, and they're on Xero as well. And one of them was a web designer, and someone from the audience asked her, why did you pick Xero? And she said, because I like the way it looks. And so, it's important to understand, if you're a designer or in that kind of field, a creative, and you're working with people in that industry, that the software that you choose for them to work into is something that they're going to feel comfortable in. If it's too clunky, if it looks too complicated, then they're probably not going to do the things that you need them to do. So really understanding the psyche of your clients becomes really important in the selection of the industries that you're going to work in and the applications that you put together. So I never speak about Xero on its own. I always call it a platform, because Xero extends into these other applications where you can customize and specialize your instance. So first off, you want to start small. So you don't want to pick 5 industries that you want to go into. You want to choose an industry that is one, so that you can create the model, you know how to look for applications, you know how to create your marketing and so forth, so that once you've got that one successful, the next industry that you go into is just a cookie cutter off of that. So the first thing that you do is you figure out, what are the things that I need to have automated in a process with that specific industry? So what are the applications that's important? So do they need an inventory software? Are they going to be tracking inventory? Or do most of their sales come through the website and they need a good e-commerce site, and all of that information from that e-commerce site needs to come back into Xero? Do they want to push information out through social media, and do we need applications that would find data within the system in order to maximize the promotions on social media and so forth? So these are things that you need to think about when you think about the applications that you want to talk to. So first off, you select your niche, the industry that you want to go in. Make sure that it's big enough to matter and small enough to lead. So you don't want to be an industry that everybody's in, but you also want to make sure you're in an industry that can afford services and is a good fit with your skills and your interests. And then the next step is to really start evaluating the right solutions for that industry. So, I think the best way to start here is that you go to friends and family if you have no clients, and really test the solution with them, see how it's going. If you do have clients, then what you want to do is talk to some friendly clients that are willing to allow you to test certain things with them. And, basically you do it for free for maybe the first 60 days, where you say, I'm going to keep your books going on whatever solution you had them going on before, but I want you to test these applications with me to see if you like them, what do you like, what don't you like, how would you need to change the process up so that they can really be your tester, so that whenever you bring in a new client into the solution that you do decide on, you're really clear on how to set them up, what kind of communication you need to put out there, and how to make it a repeatable process with every new client. So that's really where you get your efficiencies in your practice, is that when you can specialize in an industry, then, going back to health and wellness, every health and wellness customer that comes on, so right now I'm at the MindBody conference speaking. So MindBody Online is a POS software that's used by health and wellness customers. So every time I have a health and wellness customer, then I know MindBody Online. I know that's their POS system that they're using. I know what data needs to integrate with Xero so that the information from MindBody Online comes through to Xero from the sales side and what inventory was purchased and so forth. And then from the Xero side, I know what other accounting information I need to put in for my overhead expenses and things such as that. So once I have that process down, it's really easy for me to repeat that process with the next health and wellness client. And I keep repeating it. And when I say rinse and repeat here is where else, once I get, bedded down in that process, could I make it more perfect? Could I create more efficiency so that when I'm in that value-based billing, which is fixed pricing, I can create more profitability with the same, without having to raise their price, by becoming more efficient on the back end. And once I know all of that and I know what my solution is, then I come up with my marketing plan. Not first. This is actually the fourth step, because before this point, I don't know who I'm trying to target. I don't know what type of client I want in the door, and I have no idea what their experience is going to be with me. So once I've tested out the process, then I can go after the health and wellness industry, and I can say, these are the things that I'm going to do to help you as a business in order to thrive and be more profitable. And then always, you want to constantly evaluate your process. Are you in the right industries? Is it a profitable industries? Are there ways to be more efficient? How can you add more value to your clients? And so it's always a learning curve and ways for you to enhance the things that you do. And during this process, it's going to become very, very uncomfortable. So there's going to be problems along the way. Change management is always hard, and learning is hard. But that is where you grow the most. If I've grown the most from things that I have failed on, and you have to, put yourself out there and take a risk and realize that you may not, it may not go as you planned, but be able to eventually, learn from what mistakes you had and enhance it and make it an even better solution for the future. So not get discouraged or give up, but figure out how to step back, learn, innovate, and make it better. So once you have all these systems working together, this really creates the knowledge in order for you to give advice to your clients. And this is really the power in the relationship that you end up having with your clients. So when we talk about extending the platform for other types of services, so if you want to, when I talked earlier about outsourcing services, one of those is being an outsourced CFO and being able to maybe one day a week give them the financial planning that they need that they would not be able to do on their own. We have a number of applications on our ecosystem site to extend the Xero platform for you to be able to do deeper ratio analysis, budget planning, business planning, so that all this information is sped up for you, and then you're able to take these dashboards and reports and be able to talk through it with your client so that they can get a better picture of what changes they need to make in their business. So hopefully you can see with this, as you start extending the application and getting more information, the value of your relationship with your client goes much deeper. and they can't imagine life without you, because there would be no way for them to interpret this information and make the real-time decisions. So some of these offerings that you may have is strategic planning, cash flow management, forecasting and budgeting, process improvement. So very proactive services rather than reactive, which you see on many accounting firm sites. It might say write-up and tax and so forth, where from a client's point of view, that's just something they have to do, but it's not something that helps them in their business. But when you start advertising the real proactive things that you can help them with, these are reasons why a client would call you to be able to want to work with you. So the options that you have really is, the fork in the road is joining a firm or doing things on your own and starting your own practice. And I have done both, and I've learned so much from doing both. So I would say it's important to do both. You get experience in a firm that's very different than running your own practice. But it's the knowledge base and the learning of the processes in a firm that becomes so important. And you may decide that you want to move your career through a firm and eventually become a partner. But for those of you that want to start on your own, you can actually start on your own while you're still in school. Nothing is preventing you from starting one of these practices now rather than waiting until you graduate. It actually gives you great experience to start some bookkeeping clients on your own while you're in school, and you make more money than if you were to work at a retail store or a restaurant and so forth. So what motivates you when you're looking for a place to work? So if you decide that you want to go work in a firm, it's important that you don't just get interviewed, that you're prepared to interview the firm on what's in it for you to work at that practice. How are you going to grow? So is there flexibility for your life, your quality of life? How do they deal with cloud technology? How do they deal with you working at different times of the day? So these are questions to ask. Making sure they have a mission themselves, that you have a belief in the type of clients that they are working with and the type of offerings that they're working with. Will you have access to mentors when you work at that practice? Who's going to help teach you what things that you need to know to grow in your career? Is there room for you to learn and innovate? Do they give you time to give suggestions or ways that processes could be improved, or software that you could bring in that would make their current processes even better? What kind of career development opportunities do they have so that you can constantly grow? So you may not want to constantly move up. You might want to learn all the different jobs in the firm so that you can find the place that's going to be best suited. What you want to be careful of is if you start out, let's say, in tax, and you only go down that path, you've never actually explored what audit's like or client advisory is like and so forth. So it's important to understand, will you be able to rotate into other jobs so that you can understand what works best for you? And is it a fun work environment? Do they have time where you're actually getting together? It's a team environment. There's places for you to take a break. So like I said, interviews are a two-way street. Here's some ideas of just things that you want to ask about and pay attention to when you're in an interview. What is the workspace like? What is the office atmosphere like? Is it something that you're going to be comfortable with day in, day out? And what kind of activities do they have to keep you stimulated and thinking and learning? Now, going it alone while you're in school is such a great way to get experience, put it on your resume before you graduate. So you can start with your friends and family as clients and learn what types of things it takes to have a client and the work that needs to happen. I would definitely say to start out with bookkeeping work with your friends and family, or maybe fellow students that have side businesses, where you actually maybe don't charge your first one or two clients to start because you're trying to learn how to have clients and what type of things they're expecting from you. But once you get going, you can decide if you want to charge your family, but any friends or other people at school that have businesses, you can figure out what your offering is and then start advertising through social media or create a web page, or if you want to do email marketing and so forth, to let people know that you are offering these services. And when you show this kind of thing on a resume later, you can really get ahead by going into a firm that you've actually learned how to sell, how to market besides the accounting. It's a great way to start. And it shows how proactive you are, that you wanted to get a head start before you were done with school as well. You may decide when you do this that you really enjoy having your own business, and when you graduate school, you may decide to start your own practice and grow it. So there's lots of different ways and directions that you can go with this. But, a lot of times when you start out, so when I started out on my own, again, I had worked in big corporations and big accounting firms, and it felt very alone when I started my own business. So it's important to find ways to not feel alone. So you should be networking with other like-minded people. Find the LinkedIn groups, find the Facebook groups, people that are doing this like you are, so that you can share information. You also, if you specialize in an industry, you're going to want to find what conferences those people are going to and meet those people and get involved with those industries as well, so that you can always find friends or people to reference. You want to also find people of different professions. You want to find attorneys. You want to find marketing people and all sorts of services of other small businesses that serve your same client group, so that if a client comes into you and asks, do you know an attorney I can go to, you've got maybe 2 or 3 that you can refer them to that will help them. So is there a polling question here, or should I keep going?
Let me do the quick polling question, because it actually speaks to what you were just talking about, Amy. I'm actually gonna flip to the third polling question because it's topical. If you don't mind taking a quick break. And guys, what I'm going to ask you is to find out an interest that you have have you ever thought about starting your own firm now? Does this presentation change your interest in starting a firm now? But what is your interest level in learning how to start your own firm? If you can select one of the following and then hit submit. And I'll give you about 10 seconds to do it so we can move quickly. Amy, while they're doing it, no, I have a lot of questions, but I may have to wait till the end.
Okay.
But what we're seeing is about split the audience. I'm looking to learn for somewhere else while I learn. I'm looking to learn while working with somebody else, and the other half is saying I'm ready, but I need a little bit more direction and information. So half the audience is telling you after what they're hearing that they are interested. And guys, and by the way, a plug for tomorrow, we're going to hear a case study of somebody who's done exactly that. But Amy, let's keep going now that we know that half this audience has actually expressed interest in learning more and going in that direction. And thanks, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Thanks for voting.
Yeah, so, and I do want to temper this with, you can go on your own, or if you're already in accounting practice or looking to be in accounting practice, this arms you with the information in order to really set your career apart and start a new service line in the firm. Many partners in accounting firms today, because they've been in a traditional practice, they see things like I'm talking about today. They know they need to do it, but they don't have the time or know where to start to do it. They need the new accounting students and people that are recently graduated to come in and spearhead these initiatives in their firm to help them change their firm around. And I think there's a huge opportunity with small to mid-sized firms that have been around for a long time, where you can really go and get into a leadership position very quickly if you can really figure out the path of how to get new service revenue for them, make them more profitable, and so forth. So I want to make sure you think about it from both directions, because both are great opportunities for you to really be a leader. So getting started with Xero, what that means is we are a very design-led company. So what sets us apart is the way that we think and design the software. These are examples of small business clients that we have, but we keep the software simple to use and easy for people to find the information they need as a small business owner, and we work with these bank feeds to make it even more seamless. However, we always design the software with the accountant-client relationship in mind, so it's easy for you to be able to collaborate with your clients, be able to message them right through the software and get them the information that they need. We are constantly innovating the software, so unlike desktop software, we're putting out new features every week. These are just a few of the hundreds of different updates that we've had over the year. And so, like Jeff said in the beginning, I'm responsible for education for Xero. So we make sure that we've got programs that all of our accounting partners can attend that are free for the most part, unless they're in person. But we run e-learning and webinars on a continuous basis that constantly keep you updated on all the new features and how you can integrate that into your practice. Now, where Xero sees the future going is really that the accounting, we start making it where it's really dependable on that side by having the Xero advisor and the client working together on the same software. We're working on the back end of that software to make sure that the information is accurate, that there's actually fraud alerts that might pop up due to anomalies. But we want to free up lending to small businesses so that they can depend on the accounting that is happening. And we think we have a huge opportunity with Xero to be able to unlock that, where banks really have only been giving to large enterprises for the most part because it's more dependable, it's audited and so forth. But when we can actually bring together the cloud accounting, the advisors, and banking, we hope to free up more funds for small businesses so that they can stay together. And then from the back end, we believe we can create a magical experience. So what that means is we have moved our whole platform to AWS, which is a new service. It's called Platform as a Service, but it allows us to create this global platform. So Xero itself as a company is all over the world, but our goal is to start making accounting more seamless and that it's not so confusing for the small business, that there's machine learning and artificial intelligence built into the platform. So what does that mean? So when you're looking into the future and the trends of the future and the type of practice that either you want to join or you want to create yourself, this goes back to how do I become more proactive? How does the system monitor what's going on in the data, analyze it, and alert the client and the accountant to have a conversation to change what's happening in their business? So some of the things, one of the things is, like I showed you earlier, is being proactive, where you can send alerts right into their Apple Watch or wherever they are through an iPad or phone. We've created these with the AWS platform where we can look across the data and start learning from how small businesses are coding data and what kind of errors they're making in it, so that we can start prompting people to not make those same errors. So we put out a feature in the last year and a half or so, which was find and recode. So what that does is, the small businesses make errors all the time in how they code things, and it's really hard to go transaction by transaction to recode. But what we did was put a feature in that allowed the accountant to find the mistakes and recode them. And so what we did from the back end is start learning about what kind of mistakes the client typically makes. And they're typically in the spend money area, in bills, and a little bit in invoices. And what we found for the most part is they typically code things in the wrong spot every time. And then, 1 in 5 invoices are recoded from sales, but maybe they coded it to general expenses or bank fees instead of to the sales account and so forth. So what we're able to do now is start taking those learnings from the system and the data and actually prompt the client to code it in the right place. We're also looking at how do we use where the client is on a daily basis. We know Facebook Messenger is a huge place where most people are most of their day and communicating. So how can we help with having messages communicating through messaging apps that they're using and businesses are using to talk to consumers so that we can speed up the accounting process? So this is how to get started with us. So first thing is you sign up as a partner. It is totally free to become a partner with Xero. We have lots of different benefits for you as an accounting or a bookkeeping partner. If you go to our accountant menu when you go to the Xero.com site, there is a Become a Partner page. You go right to that, and you can sign up to become a partner. Once you become a partner, all these other benefits unlock, where we have something called Xero U that will help you through your processes at, learning Xero, learning cloud accounting, and learning the change management that you need to do either as running your own practice or in a firm yourself. And we have a certification that you can take, the e-learning one where you can take it self-paced, you can take it on your own, or you can take a webinar, and at the end of this session today, I'm going to give you a code, a promotion code that you can use, and you can take the webinar for free as well. So our e-learning looks like this, is where you come to Xero U, you're able to pick what type of content that you want to learn. Our certification is very interactive. We've just launched a new certification that gives you the story of you as a business working with one of your clients, dealing with the product features in the certification, and we show you how to help that client, in the story, as well as you get a turn Xero simulated in the certification where you can actually point and click and do the task yourself, so that once you're finished with certification, you feel comfortable of where to go in Xero to get your task done. We also have the Help Center community to go through that you can find information. On Xero U, we also have something called Implementing Xero Step by Step. And this gives you a checklist with little teeny 2-minute videos of things to do when you're starting out with Xero so that you take the right steps when you're implementing Xero. So the next steps for you would be becoming certified. If you want to start with your family or friends, choosing a platform, really specializing in something, and promoting your services. So the promo code is Resume Boost. That is what you would use in order to, when you sign up for the certification that's live online, there would be a fee for that. But if you use this promo code, you can get that for free, or you can do the self-paced version anytime. And I think we have another polling question.
You know what, Amy? Let's just wrap up, and we can keep going and not worry about the polling question, because I know you got a few more pieces to get out. Okay, do you have me? All right. Hey, Amy, I can't hear you, but I'm going to skip the polling question if you're there.
Oh, I'm here. I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm open for questions. I don't have anything else.
So, you know what I'd like to do? Gosh, that's a great question I just got in. So first of all, we will email everyone not only the promo code, but also the links so that they can get the live online certification and join as a Xero partner. That will be a follow-up that happens from the event. Amy, this is a question, and I know we're at the top of the hour, but it's just it's too good not to share. And
Okay.
so I would like to take advantage of Xero, but my confidence has been beaten with working at a small firm that is closed-minded about technology. And our question is, how can I boost my confidence? And but you know what? I have to tell you, I see that issue too much. And the issue of I'm working at a firm that's sort of like not getting it. And we'll go back to her question about how can you boost confidence. But I am curious about your opinion. If you talked earlier about interviewing at firms and how we ought to question the firm, the employer, on certain, how they're managing their business. And I wonder if they're not beginning to embrace cloud technology, is it a deal breaker for a candidate? Would you recommend that it would be? And how would you coach us to think about that?
Yeah, so I think part of it is going back to what motivates you as a person. So taking yourself out of being working in an accounting firm or your career, what are the things that you are most passionate about? And making sure that what you're doing is aligned with that. And you don't want to give up accounting. And, a lot of times I see people just give up in accounting for what this person is bringing up, which I just so happy that you brought this up, and I know it takes a lot to even be able to write those words. So you don't want to give up your passion for accounting and for the industry, and at the end of the day, remembering that you're helping small businesses thrive. You are helping the economy. You are helping people fulfill their dreams. But you also want to make sure you are fulfilling your dreams as well. So first off, as someone that's in the technology field, I obviously feel like if they're not embracing cloud technology or have a look to the future of how they're going to do it, that could be a deal breaker. But if it's a firm that you really believe in and it's not important to your job, then, I don't want to say a one size fits all with that, because this is really someone that wants to be in advisory services and accounting services where you want to be, more involved with the client. Cloud technology is truly a must. But if they're open to you taking a leadership position where you could actually spearhead this for the firm that you believe in and they're buying into that, that's great. If not, you can find another firm because there's tons of firms out there. And I would even suggest to you to look on the Xero advisor list. So the other accounting firms that have signed up for this, that have clients on Xero, they get listed on our advisor listing for small businesses to find. You may want to look in your area and see what accounting firms are Xero advisors as possible opportunities that you might want to reach out to them and say, I'm really interested in working with a future-looking firm like you. Or you go out on your own, and like I said, you should start with people or people that are willing to test things out. Don't try to be something that you're not. Like, definitely admit, when I started my practice, I didn't try to be everything, or I didn't try to answer every question. If a client asked me a question that I didn't know, I would say, I'll get back to you on that, tomorrow. As long as you get back to them with the answer, that's all they want. They're not expecting you to know the answer right off the bat, because no one could be that way. They just want to know they have a resource that they could go to that always gets the answer that they need. So don't feel like all is lost. Definitely find the place that's right for you. And I would definitely say start this learning, get some ideas for yourself, go through certification so that you can find the path that's best for you.
I want to quickly ask you one last question, because we have talked a little bit about people starting their own firms right now, and guys, if you're interested in that, it's not unrealistic. And I wanted you to paint a picture of the lifestyle of some of the people that that are partners that use Xero, Amy. And And does everyone that uses Xero and has these firms, they all work in an office and are they all tied to a desk, or do you see business owners and accounting firm owners that are Xero partners traveling and having a flexible lifestyle, sort of creating the life for themselves they want?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the majority of the Xero advisors that are in the network, they may have a small office or a virtual office that they could, meet with a client in person if they needed to have that meeting, or a conference room. But many of them work remotely. I've got many practices that the staff of the firm is all over the country or even internationally, because we have Xero advisors all over the world. And there's many Xero firms in other countries that need to work with a U.S. accountant because their foreign company needs to do U.S. business, and then they need a U.S. accountant here. So I see a lot of networking even all over the world. But we do have many firms that have offices. The most important part, though, is that they use the advantage of the technology, that you could really work anywhere, anytime. That maybe you need to be in the office a couple of days of the week, or certain hours of the day. But if you work at 2 a.m, you can work at 2 a.m. It's effort-based, it's project-based, rather than recording every minute of your day on a timesheet. And I think that's the really important thing to look for is, this is a client-facing, typically client-facing profession. We do have hours that are, hours that we have to be with clients or be in an office or a meeting. But the time that we're doing the work outside of those meetings or face-to-face meetings, then, that should be able to be done anywhere. But we also see firms that all their client meetings are virtual, that they use Google Hangout or Zoom to meet with their clients, and no one's ever physically meeting each other in person, which is a really nice new way to be able to have a remote practice.
That's cool. Hey, Amy, we appreciate it. There's a few follow-up items that we will deliver to everyone that registered, including your generous offer for certification training. Obviously, it's free to be a Xero partner. Why not, right? And there is so much great content at Xero's website about not only building a small business, but about building a thriving practice. So if that is an interest of yours, please connect with Xero. Get to their website. Okay, Amy, we're grateful for you. I know you're in LA, you're at a conference. Get going, get back to the conference. Hopefully you didn't miss the keynote this morning. I know it was a big name. Good luck, and we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully this information was helpful.
It absolutely was, and we'll send you feedback as well, because we ask everyone in the audience to send me an email, jeff@accountingfly.com, or just pop into the question panel. What was that one takeaway that you got from this session? What's the most important thing that you could leave with? I'm going to end the session right now. Amy, your mic will be live until you exit GoToWebinar, and I'll leave it live for just a couple of minutes, but you can go ahead and leave. Thanks everybody for being here. Please stop by the school fair today at 1 p.m. Eastern. Do not forget that. It's a great use of a few minutes, and we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern for the final day of Meet the Firms Week. Bye for now. Have a great day.